There is a fifth dimension.
A dimension of sound.
Damn it, Frank! We tell him to be quiet. I spilled my hot cup of Uranus again.
A dimension of sight.
Hey, Arch. I'm gonna sock you in the puss.
A dimension of mind.
Nan Adams, is that you?
Next stop, the Twilight Zone.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Fifth Dimension of Twilight Zone podcast. I am your non-waving host, Nick. I will be here to fulfill all your needs and desires and possibly keep you on track to not throw you out a window, but maybe we'll throw you out a window. I'm not sure. We're once again here to talk Rod Serling's famous TV series, the one that he loves people to talk about and criticize and rate and subscribe and rank and all that good stuff. Before we actually begin, we are on audio feeds. Remember, if you subscribe to those audio feeds and you give us stars and then you give us money, we can give you more things and more life, and we can become big stars.
And Jesse James will not track your ass down.
I know. He'll actually, it won't be Jesse James. It'll be Ann, or not Ann. What's her face? The the woman who drives the car that I forgot about.
Yeah. Nan Adams.
Yeah, Nan Adams will come back and haunt you, and then tell you to go back on track. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, subscribe to us. Audio feeds, my YouTube channel. That's where all this stuff's at. Rate, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Yay.
But without further ado, we are back for another episode 85 of this podcast, as well as episode 85 of the show. That is the Twilight Zone. Triv, Jacob, you guys know who you are. If you don't watch our stuff, you don't know who these people are, but they're Triv, they're Jacob, they're here to do things. I want my ginger ale, sons of bitches. Give it to me now. And
all you're getting is Rut got whiskey. That's all you're getting.
Got whiskey.
Yeah.
Who gave me this whiskey? It tastes like ass.
You know what? I'm going to take the shine off your pants.
Yep.
What?
You are. Am I a marshmallow too? Is that what you're saying, Triv?
Yes, you are.
You son of a bitch. It's pretty funny he says that. It's like this episode we're going to talk about it's highly comedic, which is kind of a nice change of pace for the last few episodes that we've been talking about. I guess the hunt was pretty kind of comedic as well. It was a lot more light.
It was sweet. That was sweet.
Lighthearted.
This is funny. Yeah. I guess it is. I would say that the hunt is more like tugs at your heartstrings. This is just kind of more goofy funny.
Is it? It is. It definitely is. But I feel like they couldn't make up their mind as if they wanted to be goofy, because at times it was, and then at other times it was like it was trying to be serious, but still goofy. It ended up being more goofy than anything, and it was an enjoyable-ish time. But like, did you feel like there was like a like they were tepid about going full unusual camera?
Or I mean, it's almost like they're winking. They're kind of winking at the camera a little bit because it's like, yeah.
But it was never full on like unusual camera or Mighty Casey. It was just kind of like, we're gonna do a little bit of goofball stuff, and then let's be slightly more serious. Never full serious, but a little bit. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I imagine too with what they were trying to do, like you couldn't have it go full goofy. Just with the story that they were, because the story that it's based off of was apparently very straightforward, like not a lot of no comedy in it, and those were elements that were added with Rod Serling's teleplay.
And I mean, to be fair, it's always been said that the show comes off very serious most of the time. But according to Rod Serling's daughter and the people that knew him, he was not a very serious guy. Like, he was a very kind of like goofy, like very lighthearted individual who kind of loved life and stuff like that. And like the Twilight Zone itself was kind of a way for him to get a lot of his fears off his chest, I guess is the way to put it. But apparently he was a very funny dude. So it's surprising we don't see a lot more comedic stuff in the Twilight Zone. But I mean, when it was comedic, sometimes it just doesn't work in the series, as we've learned.
But think about too, just the way that like shows were back in the day. You either had super campy, goofy things like Batman 66, or like Get Smart, or you had things that were very serious, like not to say that things like Gunsmoke and other shows of the era didn't have funny moments, but I think overall they were meant to be taken much more seriously. So like that I imagine Goofy Funny was more meant for like a kid audience, or very specifically, okay, this is schlocky kind of a deal. Maybe that's me like generalizing too much, but
Yes, you generalize too much, Triv. You
I
and
know
your
I do.
corn.
Oh, shush.
Trivialize.
Damn, generalizing.
Trivialize. But anyway, with that said, yeah, I mean, overall, the episode is going to be an interesting one to talk about, whether it truly is a great episode or not. But with that said, before we actually get into it, the episode, of course, is season 3, episode 20, called Showdown with Rance Mcgrew, directed by Chris Nyby, written by Rod Serling, based off idea from Frederick Lewis Fox. Production code 4812, air date February 2nd, 1962. Is that a Groundhog's Day, February 2nd? Am I thinking of that wrong?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Phil.
So Groundhog's Day. So yeah.
Punxsutawney Phil.
Yeah, Punxsutawney Phil. Bill Murray and his sexy ways when he's like, having sex with the women and eating all the foods and stuff like that. And
I really
He's
thought you were about to say
sexy
something
and
else.
he knows it.
midlife crisis. This is an episode that stars Larry Blyden, who you might remember from Nice Place to Visit. He was of course, the gangster guy that gets shot and killed. And Arch Johnson, Robert Cornthwaite, and Robert J. Stevenson. So yeah. So this episode is an episode that I remembered as soon as it started, because I've seen this episode a bunch of times. But once again, like the title of the episode, I remember the episode, but not the title. Trev, you said you remember this episode?
Once it got into it, I didn't remember a ton about it, but I did remember it once it got rolling. I didn't remember the ending so much, but yeah, generally I remembered it.
Cool. Jacob, how you doing tonight? Everything good?
I'm good.
Oh, so he gets asked how he is, and I get asked if I remember the episode. Thanks.
Well, I mean, it'd be better than
priorities.
asking, do you remember
Yeah,
this episode? And Jacob goes, I remember an episode last week with the hunt, but I'm assuming you don't remember this episode. Yeah, you remember the episode now, but I mean, no, like after watching it, like when you were watching it, did you remember like kind of where it was going, or did you just kind of went with it? No, okay. I'm just kidding.
I remember it. I mean, one of the things might be because this episode shares a lot in common with a bunch of other episodes. Well, maybe not a bunch. There have been numerous other episodes within this show, especially, that are similar in, the big hook.
Yeah.
That have had a similar thing. The whole being one place and then in a shot changing to like a different place or a real version of what you're playing in. And so, no, it wasn't very memorable for me.
Yeah, and it's an episode that doesn't really have a twist to it. It's just an episode the guy gets his comeuppance. He's a douchebag, and it's almost like the guy came back from hell and now is an actor, and he just doesn't realize his plight, and then gets the devil comes back, is like, yeah, you're back in hell again, that type of thing. But I don't know. What do you guys think of this episode? Like overall, like, I mean, what's your take on it?
I really enjoyed it. Like this kind of episode is right up my street. Like I enjoy Goofy, and I there was a lot of slapsticky stuff that I thought worked really well. It's not a perfect episode by any stretch of the imagination, but there's a lot of fun stuff.
Right.
I was gonna say I thought it was enjoyable. I don't think that this is by any means a top 10 or anything like that, but it wasn't. It was lighthearted and kind of. I think it was better towards the end when it started to commit more to the goofiness, when it kind of like started to fully commit. Like I mentioned, my biggest takeaway right out the gate is that it's like has a very similar setup to a lot of other Twilight Zone episodes. Or I say that, maybe it's only a couple, but there have been other Twilight Zones with a similar setup. And B, it didn't feel like they wanted to totally commit to it until closer to the end when they started to get goofy. Yeah, sure, he's got the thing where he breaks the glass and all that, and they're kind of like, and all that. But I mean, I don't know, its tone seemed kind of odd to me until around the time when he switched to the other reality or whatever it is. That's when it kind of seemed like it started to really commit to the kind of the jovial goofiness, like full time.
Do you think that's a failing of Rod Serling as a writer, that he's not able to commit very well to comedy? Or do you think that's because it just seems like when he writes comedy, it almost feels like there's something missing, but when he goes serious is when it feels like he has like his ability as a writer becomes pretty straightforward and pretty well versed, I guess.
Well, wouldn't you say that, like, to some extent, you know, the Twilight Zone was all about all of those different genres, and even if it's, you know, not one strong suit, it's still, you know, honing as you go, because he wasn't really, because he did theater, what was it before this, Playhouse 60 or 55?
Yeah, Playhouse 90, I think it was.
Playhouse 90. So I mean, it's not his first rodeo by any stretch, but I think at this point he was still kind of honing his craft too, to some extent.
I think that they were trying to be funny and kind of goofy in spots, but it just didn't land as well, honestly. Yeah, I mean, some of it did. Some of it was funny, like the whole throwing through the glass and all that, and those instances, and showing how much of a douchebag this guy is, and a little over the top. That was funny, but then there were other things that just, some of those down moments I was talking about, that I felt like they were, I don't think they were trying to be more serious. I just don't think they were really landing the comedy as well. Until the switch, the halfway point, when they switched over, I thought it became much more enjoyable at that point for me.
For me, I thought the first half was pretty strong, like the, you know, like the window thing, and then you've got like the stuntman thing. And regarded, they could have got done.
Yeah, that was good.
Like there was, I agree with you that it wasn't a laugh riot a minute, but I don't think that's how they write comedy per se.
Well, I don't think it was bad or by any means. It's just it went from, there's comedy and there's goofball comedy. I feel like the first part was more comedy, and the second part was a bit more goofball. Like the whole thing where he's like sitting there thing with his hat down, and he's like, "Hey, are you the sheriff?" He's like, "Oh, he went that way," and stuff like that, and like taking his gun out and like flipping it around and all that. It got a little bit more goofy at that point, and I did enjoy that. I like the comedy, like you brought up the stuntman thing. I thought that was a really good gag, where he'd be like, "Stuntman," and then like showing me stuntman. That was fun. I thought that was funny. But,
well, that's the thing about like 60s comedies that I've noticed. It's very you look at like Lucy and Desi and stuff like that. There's like a physicality to the comedy than there is today. Today can be more of like wit than anything, and back in the day it was like, it almost feels like they had to make up for maybe they weren't, felt like they weren't as funny, so they were doing like, you know, a horse that could talk. Or I'm just saying, like, Get Smart was a lot of, I mean, Naked Gun too as well. I guess Naked Gun was the 70s.
That was the 80s.
Naked Gun was the 80s. You're thinking of Police Squad.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Police
Naked
Squad.
Gun
Yeah, that was Police Squad in the 70s.
I think that was 80s.
Was it the 80s too?
I thought so. It was a short-lived show.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was only like 5 episodes or something like that. No, my point is, I think there was a different feel. Oh, 1982. I thought it was in the 70s.
Oh,
anyways,
I thought it was older than that too.
Yeah. But no, I think there was a more of a point of making comedy more physical, because it almost felt like they didn't have.
Look at where they came from though too. Even if you look at a lot of the folks that came up through
you
this,
vaudeville and
by
stuff.
by the time you get there, it was about physicality, and it was about, and I'm sure that, like, you know, you look at 50s, 60s, they were still being greatly influenced by a lot of the silent, you know, slapstick that they kind of were raised on. It's like comedy today is influenced by stuff that was in the 80s and the 90s.
I feel like comedy is like way different now than it used to be. Like, I think that's
100%.
why some comedy in the 60s may not hit us in the 2023 or 2020s, because of just the nature of like how comedic actors play. Because like you get something like a Judd Apatow film, which is all about, you know, the jokes and the humor and stuff like that, the kind of wit humor. And then you look at something like, you know, was it the David Zucker Abrams films? They're all about gags, and then you look at like the 60s.
I mean, if you look at
but they're more about
comedy and more about,
yeah,
like you say, gags. Nowadays, it's much more observational humor.
Yeah,
observational humor tends to be a bit more. It tends, for me at least, it tends to not last the test of time as well.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, it is. It's very referential.
Something of the time.
Yeah.
So
I think one of the best examples is Walk Hard is a good example of like later comedy, more observational and stuff. Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'd say it's probably a bit more of an in between for Walk Hard for me. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that full on like what was it, like a Judd Apatow flick?
Yeah.
That's very observational. I think Walk Hard had its goofy kind of pseudo physical moments, more Saturday Night Live kind of like in between the Zuckers to the Judd Apatows of the world.
Right.
I don't know how to say. Just a
I don't
failed
know.
fucking YouTuber over here. What do I know?
I don't know. I would say, and again, maybe just because I was brought up on a lot of that old school humor and such. I look at
Mel
this
Brooks.
and Mel Brooks and everything that came before that. I guess I laughed my ass off quite a lot at this, and I understand what you're saying, that it's got the goofy humor versus the kind of general humor. But as far as humor goes, yeah, there was points where it was kind of low key, but I feel like it knew when to strike and when it knew when to pull its punch, or to hold back a bit.
Sure.
It's not perfect, like I say, it's not perfect by any stretch, and there are some points where you go, aha, that's hilarious. But overall, I don't know. That's me.
To be
though.
fair, I mean it's almost kind of a takedown of actors and actresses.
Oh, it's influencers in general. I mean, you could point this at any era, whether you're talking,
I mean, you can look at today with whatever that guy was in New York.
Oh
This is
God,
gonna date this. Yeah, when he caused a riot because he claimed he was going to give out free
Kai,
stuff.
whatever.
Yeah, Kai, whatever his name is, and caused a riot. It's like, yeah, I mean, the same thing. It's like any actor or actress can be considered an influencer because they can cause all kinds of issues, and they can be very dramatic and want things a specific way. And the director, as we see, and the crew are very not of fans of Rance Mcgrew, and this is a very atypical thing for Hollywood because you always hear the stories. Like, look at Christian Bale, for instance, in that famous audio tape that he had.
Yeah,
I mean, you just never know with these people, so it shows you kind of
Come on, Rance, baby, come on, tell me what you need, baby.
That was awesome.
I need some ginger ale. Oh man.
That Christian Bale thing, I think, is misunderstood, by the way. I just want to throw that out there. People gave him a lot of shit about that, and I was like, I mean...
Well, no, I know, but like the perception of this guy...
All we hear is this guy yelling.
Perception.
Now, this dude's a douche,
Yeah.
but that Christian Bale thing, I've always thought, you guys are judging him just based on this one spot, but if you listen to what he's saying, he's got a job to do, and he's doing his job. And there's this person who's fucking up, making it to where he can't do his job and fucking his shit up.
Right.
And it apparently had been going on for a long time. And the guy who's in charge, the quote unquote manager, wasn't doing anything about it. So he lost his shit and was like, what the fuck? I'm trying to do my job and you're supposed to be taking care of this shit. And you're not. Get the fuck out of the, and I was like, yeah, I mean, yeah, he lost it, but we don't know how long was this going on, And I mean, I'm not totally against what he had to say there. Maybe I'm a dick.
No, I mean, it's true.
It's true. Well, it goes to show that no matter what perceptions are, I mean, actors are human. We all have our limits, and you can't hold that smile forever. It's impossible.
Well, he didn't hold shit that day.
No, definitely not.
It reminds me of that. This is like something that happened, but there was a Wayne's World 2 bit where they go to England and they get what's his face, and he talks about how like somebody wanted like just brown M&Ms or something like that. And he made it was a whole joke, but it's based off of a true story about some pop star, rock star only wanted a certain color.
The green M&Ms.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what it feels like here.
Commercials based on that too.
Oh, was there?
I think so, or something like that.
But I mean, it's the same thing here. It's this guy. Okay, to start opening up to what this this episode is about. You think it's a Western at first. Like, it's kind of funny how it feels like a Western. They're like, you think there's gonna be like a showdown with blah blah blah, and it's just dude comes in a Cadillac with a antler or steer horns on the car. Antlers. But like I couldn't remember what this episode was about, and then when it came in on the Cadillac or whatever car it is, Cadillac or whatever it is, I told Triv, because you were busy, Jacob, doing whatever you're doing. I told Triv when we were watching this, I said, oh, I remember this episode because it's going to be the one where he goes back to the Old West. And I mean, this whole first part is just kind of showing how this guy is always late. He's not a good person. He demands way too much. I mean, we see it like with the ginger ale and how he blames everybody when the bottle falls off the counter, because he can't catch it. And
he's the Vin Diesel in this Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
Jesse James is The Rock.
Right.
Oh, thing about the car real quick.
Yeah.
It was owned by a guy named Nudie Cohen.
Nudie
Cohen.
My next child.
That's funny.
And he's the famed designer of Elvis Presley to John Wayne to Roy Rogers and more. So whether that's clothing or
the antlers make sense now.
Yes, exactly.
Horn.
He's horn.
He's nudie for the horns.
Yep.
Interesting. See, they get props from everywhere. But I like the fact that like every time he tries to use his gun, he just throws it into the mirror, and the mirror breaks like 4 times. So it's just like, and then they're betting on how many times he's gonna break the mirror, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, like the grip walks up and he's like, pay up. You lost. Told you he's gonna break.
I like the guy in the I like the guy in the rafters, the lighting guy, just reading the newspaper. He's like, goes back to reading the newspaper.
What a dumbass.
Did you also see when they went to give Rance what the hell's his name?
You want to call him Rancid, don't you?
I do.
Rance Mcgrew. You call him Rance Mcgrew.
When he gives Mcgrew the gun, he like pulls it from underneath his assistant, and she kind of like goes, "Ooh." It's like, what the hell was that gun doing underneath that lady?
Oh, right.
Keeping it warm or something.
I mean, a lot of this is just played for laughs. The mirror breaking, the fact that stuntman, as Jacob alluded to earlier, the fact that like every time he's gonna do a punch, he's like, stuntman, and they pull the stuntman in there. The poor stuntman at the end of all the like the homage, like the montage, he's just like beat up and like he's like, oh, and Rance is like, oh, you're doing good. He's like, thank you, and he's like falling apart and shit. And he's up on the counter. He's like, yeah, hashtag.
Stuntmen deserve Oscars. Or stunt people deserve Oscars. But whatever. Anyway.
But I like how he's up on the counter. He's like, stuntman. He just jumps off the counter. So it's pretty funny. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think about this kind of stuff? I mean, it's played for laughs. It's played for humor. It's very lighthearted. It's just a guy who is kind of a prima donna. Like when he tries to break the bottle, he eats a piece of the bottle, and like right in the middle of the scene, he just like he goes in and out. He's like, he pulls out the piece of the bottle.
He pulls it out. And he's like,
I did also. There's a line, and I think it's in the first half, but he's like, I know that. I think it was when they're talking about Jesse James shooting Mcgrew in the back. He's like, I know that you know that I know that they know that. In that whole line, I kind of
yeah. It reminds me of like when Will Ferrell did that Spanish movie. It's just like the like strangeness of everything. I don't know.
Well,
yes.
Nice segue to. I really liked how Rod Serling's introduction here.
Oh yeah, no, we were getting to that. I promise.
Okay,
I promise. I haven't forgotten. No, I
feel like we already passed it.
Yeah, I know.
No, I was just trying to get into like the nature of this.
Get into it.
It was a fantastic introduction.
I just want to give you prep time. I'm just giving Jacob prep time before he can.
I refuse.
Sure. Yeah,
I refuse to prep.
Right. Good man. Nor should you. I think Alex might have some words for you in that respect.
Especially after this narration. I can't wait to Jacob.
Yeah, I've not yet read this, but I heard it, and there were a few moments I was like, "What?"
Just remember, phony baloney.
Yeah, that was probably not the thing I'm most worried about. Okay, let's do this shit.
Is it the word penis?
Penis, yeah. So you know, just like randomly add penis in here.
I could.
Some 100 odd years ago, penis. A motley.
It's gonna be like a Mad Libs.
I don't think I need to add anything else into this. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Some 100 odd years ago, a motley collection of tough mustaches galloped across the West and left a raft of legends and legerdemains. And it seems a reasonable conjecture that if there are any television sets up in cowboy heaven, and any one of those rough and woolly nail eaters could see with what careless abandon their names and exploits are being bandied about, they're very likely turning over in their graves, or worse, getting out of them. Which gives you a clue as to the proceedings that will begin in just a moment, when one Mr. Rance Mcgrew, a $3,000 a week phony baloney, discovers that this week's current edition of Make Believe is going to be shot on location, and that location is the Twilight Zone.
60 plus years ago, when he was writing this, what he was saying to himself? One day there's gonna be a podcast with the 3 greatest people named Triv, Jacob, and Nick, and Jacob's gonna go on there and read it, and it's gonna be the most difficult read he's ever done, and I'm gonna laugh from heaven. And then I'm gonna haunt him for the rest of my life because he messed it up.
That rough and woolly nail eater.
Does he take the shine out of your pants?
It's a shine in my pants.
Oh,
Ooh.
there you go.
That's quite the diatribe of sexicon words and words. Period.
Yeah.
Do you feel like he knew
pretty good.
some? Do you feel like he with escape clause, like the way he described the main guy and that it was very vitriolic, it had a lot of vitriol in it. Like it sounded like he was talking about someone he specifically knew. This kind of has that same sort of feel. Not quite as severe, but just in that realm.
To be fair, like his narration could be about a ton of actors he worked with in some form or capacity during the series.
Yep.
Or before.
And Hollywood loves to talk about Hollywood.
Oh, very true.
Exactly.
And no one talks about Hollywood better than they do. He did actually.
No, I was gonna say, if there's one thing that Rod can do perfectly is break down Hollywood in a pretty good fashion. So
absolutely, he did actually do what was called, quote, an adult Western in 1965, called The Loner.
Oh, I thought it was called Planet of the Apes.
No, it's called The Loner. I looked it up. He also did Planet of the Apes, but that was separate.
He didn't do Planet of the Apes. He started on Planet of the Apes.
Right. That's what I said.
He was the Planet of the Apes.
Your face is the Planet of the Apes.
He left Planet of the Apes.
And was mad, so he wrote a narration about Planet of the Apes called the Showdown with Rance Mcgrew. The ape is actually Charlton Heston.
You wrote the original screenplay, right?
Yeah,
the original screenplay he got pissed based more on the book, and then they changed it all.
Right, he got pissed off. I think that's one of the things that was known about it. Like somebody took over, and he was pissed about it.
Well, they changed everything about it pretty much because they deemed it too expensive. Because of the original book, Planet of the Apes, it's not like they're these primitive, like it's more they're more sophisticated. They have more technology.
Right. You think Fox should have deemed Tim Burton's version too expensive and not made it? That'd probably been a good idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of the big disappointments of 2000. I think it was 2000 for me.
Yeah.
So excited about that movie.
I think we all were.
So bad.
Yeah. It was a thing.
The only thing good about that movie was Tim Roth. The only thing I liked about that movie was Tim Roth's character.
You didn't like Marky Mark in it?
I mean, sure. I mean,
get your filthy paws off me, you dirty animal.
It's always awesome when he goes back.
It's
always awesome when he goes to the future.
Sorry.
No, I would say it's always awesome when he goes to the future and there's just a monkey Lincoln statue. It's always a good time.
That ending made no fucking sense whatsoever. Jesus Christ. It was so bad. Character. No fucking sense. There's no world that ending makes any sense at all.
So that's one of the things that you like about Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes was when it ended.
Oh no! My favorite part's when the monkey and the man kiss. It was just amazing. Good times.
Nick fantasizes about that.
Helena Bonham shit, I can't
Helena Bonham Carter.
Helena Bonham, yeah.
Tim Burton's ex-wife.
Are they
not married?
I didn't know that.
I thought they were.
Yeah, they got divorced like 5 or 6 years ago.
Damn.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm behind the times.
Yeah.
Me too.
Anyways, a monkey and a guy kissed in that movie, so we'll just leave it at that. But no monkey and no guy kissed in Rance Mcgrew. It just
kind of the opposite of that, really.
Yeah, it's just I just like okay. All this is happening, and then the guy playing Billy the Kid comes in.
No,
and then he's like
Jesse James.
Sorry, the guy playing Jesse James comes in, and they have their moment, and then Jesse's like, "Okay, the director's like, we're doing this scene, and Rance is like, oh, I want to shoot him in the back, blah blah blah." And Jesse James is like, "No, we're not doing that, or we're not doing that." It's like that doesn't make any sense. Why would Jesse James just let a guy shoot him in the back? It
was the other way. He wanted Jesse James to shoot him in the back. I think.
Well, no,
he wanted him to try to shoot him in the back.
Yeah.
And he said,
I thought Jesse James was going to be killed by Rance by shooting him in the back.
He wanted Jesse James. He thought Jesse James was out. He wanted the director, or Rance, whatever, wanted the Jesse James character to get up and try and shoot him in the back, and then he would turn and pow, take him out. Right. And the guy was saying Jesse James would never shoot somebody in the back.
Yeah, I did my research on this. I'm like, I know you did. It's just like, it just shows you how Rance is just kind of, he thinks he's like hot shit because he won 2 Emmys. He thinks he's important. and we'll
This
learn
guy
out
playing
that
Jesse
he's-
James is like a method actor. He's like, I researched this part.
I like his pencil mustache. It's like a little pencil mustache. It's just
It's like a Van Cleef
yeah,
It is.
wannabe.
But I mean, I don't know. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's like The Hunt is not going to be the perfect episode. It's not like something that a lot of people are going to remember just on the simple fact that it's an episode that you like when you watch a marathon more than anything, and
I
it's
put this
just
in the neighborhood of Most Unusual Camera and Mighty Case,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
which is not a
That's
bad
a
thing.
big
I'm
spread
not.
there.
That's not a. I'm not detracting from it. It's just I think it was that kind of comedic, goofy episode. Enjoyable.
Right. Yeah. And then once again, like, they do their thing and then all of a sudden, they switch over right before the act break, they switch over, everybody disappears, all the real life cowboys and stuff like that, the real building, the real bartender come in, and it becomes an episode about fourth wall breaking. It's literally a fourth wall, winking at the camera like the rest of the episode, where once he goes into what is the Twilight Zone or the real Western setting, he tastes the whiskey. He's like, what the hell is this? It's supposed to be ginger ale. But I like that, like I like those transitions. These are the type of episodes where I enjoy, because they put them into a scenario where they're out of their depths, and they're put in a scenario where they're put in their place. And Jesse James, who's played by Arch Johnson, is this gigantic ass person, because they always play like the bad guy or the villain is usually not tall, but like the real life person may have been a lot taller, a lot more rough and tumble. And I don't know, I mean, the whole rest of the episode is just Jesse James like putting Rance in his place and talking about how the guy's basically up in whatever realm or whatever, Billy the Kid or whoever else are, watching. They don't understand and don't agree with how the Rance is treating them. But
Cowboy heaven.
I mean, what do you?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeehaw.
Yeah. Right. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Like, what do you think about the kind of the wink and the nod at the camera, like the the kind of fourth wall breaking a little bit with Jesse James, and how he kind of knows who Rance is, and how they kind of play it off like, this is kind of like an alternate reality, but not real type of thing. I think it's pretty cool, but I don't know what you guys think.
I really like the fact that like you've got like the actor that was like the person playing the actor that was playing Jesse James in the first half of the episode was quite a lot shorter than Rance, and then you get like quote actual Jesse James, and he like towers over him, and it kind of shows, like, it puts him in his spot. Like everything about him shrinks, even like the hat that he's got on seems like it's too big for his head at that point. Like like he loses his swagger, he loses like all of the things that made him the big Hollywood actor, because he was taken out of the star role and put into this, okay, look, you're actually in the Old West, we're gonna kick your ass if we're gonna have a shootout. And he's like, oh, you're so mild tempered, you don't seem like a badass at all, basically.
I mean, look, the real question I have is like, what do you think about the idea of like, though this looks like the Old West, it's not really the Old West. It's kind of like a imaginary retelling of the Old West, where Jesse James knows who Rance is in real life. He knows all the stories he's seen. It's almost like if you went into your own mind and you had your big fears come out of you. Like, what do you guys think about that kind of stuff? Because it's more of like a, I don't really even know if you want to call it fourth wall breaking, but it's more of like, I don't know the best way to put it, but do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's one, not the premise of It's a Wonderful Life, but like Jesse James kind of becomes like a Clarence character, where he understands and knows everything that has happened, and he knows all the people above and below and all that stuff. So that was the way I took it.
I like that aspect of it. I thought at first that they were going to do just like where he was transported to back in time or something like that, but then when I realized that, okay, this guy actually knows who he is, he knows that this guy was an actor, he's aware of everything. I like that, because usually in these types of episodes, what I referenced earlier about how, we've had episodes like this before where somebody will be in one place, like we've had specifically where a guy was making, I think he was making a TV show, wasn't he? Or no, he was in real life.
Oh
He
yeah,
went to a
yeah,
TV
and it becomes
show.
real. Yeah.
Or vice
But
versa.
there's like everybody's not self-aware. Like the Jesse James
Yeah.
is like self-aware of that type of thing.
Yeah, we've had a lot of them where they've jumped from, and sometimes it's a TV show to real, or to real to TV show, or just somebody's in a time and then they drink something or do something and then they're in another time. So it's always like, oh, whenever they go there, people don't realize that they're who they are. So I liked how this one kind of like said, no, he knows it. This guy's like I guess a ghost or something.
That's what it seems like.
But
It
he
seems like
sends
something
him to
out of
like this alternate
dimension or
reality
something.
place or something.
Dimension X.
Yeah. Prang shows up.
Yeah, right.
You're a weird guy, Ace. That's why we like you.
Yeah, I mean there are some funny bits. I love the idea of like, he's give me 2 bottles of whiskey and like
He tries
he tries to grab it, but they give Jesse James a glass, but he's like Rance is like trying to open it, trying to break it, just like bust open and stuff like that. And then there's like the idea with the cigarette, like trying to wrap a cigarette.
Yeah, that was good. My favorite part was when he was
like,
sitting there and he was like, where's the sheriff around here? And he's like, he went that way. He's like,
the sheriff's what? The sheriff's near. No, the sheriff. No.
and he takes his thing. He's like, then why are you wearing this star, sheriff or marshal? And he's like, hey, where's the guy who loaned me this vest?
Well, that's actually what I got to ask you guys. Do you think Larry Blyden or Rance Mcgrew, do you think he's taking this all in stride, or do you think he should be a little more scared? Because he comes off like he's a little bit more annoyed, but a little more like flustered than anything. I mean,
he's
I don't
scared
know
shitless. I think he's trying to like keep it low key because he's seen enough of these westerns where you don't draw attention to yourself.
Right, but
I think
it's
he
just
knows.
weird.
I think his character couldn't have taken it like a real person. If this happened, they'd be like, "What the fuck is going on here?" And he couldn't do that because it was supposed to be like light and jovial. And I think he played it well. I think the way they played it for his character was good. It wasn't believable, but it wasn't supposed to be.
Well, and for that time and place too, I don't think like, anyone dealing with that in any other capacity would be having an existential crisis. But they didn't do that in that time and place. Like, oh, you ended up here. Oh, well, shit. How did I end up here? Maybe I'll order a drink,
And I mean, basically Jesse James calls him a marshmallow, which I thought was pretty funny. I laughed when he said that. He's like, "What are you, a marshmallow?" It's good stuff. But
I think when he broke the glass too, he just looks at me and goes, "Marshmallow." Was that an insult back then? I want to call somebody that marshmallow.
I don't see why you couldn't.
Man, hold on. I gotta look this up. Was marshmallow?
I think it was probably just like calling someone yellow.
Did they have marshmallows back then?
In the 50s or in the 1800s?
In the 1800s.
I mean, I don't.
Well, actually, yeah, they've been around since like ancient times.
Have they?
Yeah, since 2000 BCE, ancient Egyptian.
Yeah,
really?
That's what I was gonna say. Egypt when they made them.
It's isn't marshmallow a plant? Like I think it's a plant.
Marshmallows? No.
Well, no, I think it's because if I remember right,
there may be a marshmallow plant, but it doesn't like grow marshmallow. Well, not the marshmallows that we're familiar with.
I mean, clearly, oh, that's the DJ marshmallow. They're saying marshmallow is overrated. I'm like, marshmallow is not overrated, and I realized, oh yeah, that's right. A tall pink flower, European plant that grows in the blackish marshes. The roots were formerly used to make marshmallows, and it's sometimes cultivated for medicinal use. So there you go.
I knew that.
There's something new every day. Yes, you did.
That's really cool. I did not know that. Have you guys seen the stuffed ones where there's like chocolate or caramel inside of them, and you can use them to make s'mores?
I have not.
I've eaten the ones that have like by Puff, the ones that have actual chocolate in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's
they
regular
were selling them at Wawa.
I want to go inject that inside of a marshmallow now.
I think you should.
Yeah, they sell them at the store. You can go find them at Wawa, I think. So
they're kind of everywhere. Yeah,
they probably have them at Buc-ee's. So yeah, Rance Mcgrew, they decide they're gonna duel, or he doesn't decide. Jesse James, we're gonna duel.
He's like, we don't have to do it today. We can do it another time.
Tomorrow.
He's like, can we do it tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow. No, he's like, because he's gonna run, and he's nope. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it noon today, so we're gonna do it right now. And he's like, you're gonna go behind the building, and I'm gonna go behind the building, and we're gonna walk up to each other and draw. And
he stays over by the corner going.
He's like looking at it. He's like, It's funny. The best part is like they get real close to each other. And of course, Jesse James is gonna pull faster because Jesse James was supposedly a good gunman and stuff like that. And then Rance McGrew is like he's like digging into it. He can't pull that shit out. He's like falling backwards because they're counting to 5, and he gets on his knees, and Mr. Ed pops up and goes, oh! He's like,
that was hilarious.
That horse does go like,
it was so random.
And
like
then at some point the horse
life.
goes,
He's like,
Goes
please,
against the
Mr.
post.
James, please don't shoot me. Please don't. He's got a gun in him. Please don't. He keeps just like one finger moving the gun out of the way. I'll do anything for you. Anything you want.
I just like how the horse just puts his head on the post. He's like, you stupid son of a bitch. He's like failing everyone.
That horse is like, bitch goes down.
but I like how they're like, all right, we'll make that deal, and like we'll you gotta make sure blah 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 that you don't you treat everyone in heaven or treat all the gunslingers or whatever perfectly. And
well, at that point he wasn't sure what he wanted. He said, well, I have to think about what I want in exchange for
But he figured it out pretty quick.
He did.
Yeah. And that's the part I remember really vividly, because he goes back to the normal on the set of whatever Western town they're in, and the guy comes up, he's like, oh, your manager's outside, your agent.
Your agent.
My agent.
Yep.
Yeah, he's like, my agent. He walks out there and it's Jesse James and like the
Hawaiian
most
shirt.
60s Hawaiian shirt and pants, and it basically like I just kind of love this ending, because he's like, you know what you're gonna do, you're gonna go in there and you're gonna Jesse James is gonna be on the ground, he's gonna be bleeding, and he's gonna knock you out the window. He's like, knock me out the window? He's like, you want to go back to the time when we were at the gunfight? And he's like, I guess. And he goes in there and he's like, I have something that'll make the show better, and then gets knocked out the window. It's like it's great, because I love it, because it doesn't go past that outside of them getting in the car, but it's going to continue where he's going to become the stuntman, where he's just going to get beat up and more beat up, and he's going to look like the fool through the rest of his life, and he's always going to be, it's actually kind of dark, and kind of one of those situations where he's in hell again, where he's never going to be able to get out of this scenario unless he quits acting. And I don't know what you guys think about that. I love the drive away. He just picks him up, puts him in the car, and they just like spin out like a fucking Fast and the Furious movie.
I love that they were like really like making it like a movie or TV show set for the first half. It's like, yeah, they had the stuntmen, they had like all the lights, and they had all the stuff you would, and like they'd stop and like cut and all this and that. But then when he gets thrown out the window, he just walks in, and the guy's like, all right, well, let's shoot it. And he's like, he just flies out of a fucking window, like no pad, no nothing, no breakaway window. They just throw this guy through a fucking window. He's like, good job. Awesome. And then he just gets in the car and leaves. It's like,
well, that's the best part. Yeah, just Fast and Furious style. I was like, they spin around and fucking drive off.
I guess they had like a B camera or something outside, like filming the actual window. They just knew. I mean, I know that they're not. It's not supposed to be thought of like that deep into, but
it's an angel crew.
Mm-hmm.
Billy the Kid is directing.
Emilio Estevez.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, you know what it is, Jacob? It's the little man in the cloud holding the camera, as he's floating.
From Super Mario 64.
Nice.
Yeah, or Mario Kart. Yeah. But I mean, like, what's kind of great about this episode is it takes place on a set, so they're using I'm assuming they're using the actual equipment from their show, like the Twilight Zone show. But then you imagine like they have like one camera over here that they're not using, but they're also using all this other equipment. It's like, I'm assuming the set was like either really crowded or I don't know. It's just kind of a great way to use like your equipment and like kind of a neat effect. I mean, you've seen it in like movies and TV shows before, but
you didn't have to worry about if like somebody walked into the scene or something from the crew. They just like, makes sense. It works. There's a boom mic or something. They just be like, works.
It's like Spaceballs, where there's like when Darth Helmet and Lone Star are fighting with the lightsabers. And there's like,
it's like sorry, it's his fault.
Exactly.
He did it.
Or there's like the Monty Python one where there's like the Flying Circus sketch where they're being filmed by someone and they're like, who's filming you? And then there's another one, and then I think there was a fourth one as well. And like, gosh, we're on film. Run!
It's Filmception.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, there was I can't remember what I don't know if it was oh, it was UHF when they're doing the Beverly Hillbilly song, and Weird Al staring at a camera, and then pans over to another camera, and he's like trying to stare at which camera he just shakes the camera. Oh man. But I mean, yeah, I mean that's the episode. It's not a very complex episode. It's a guy getting his comeuppance and having to live with the fear of retaliation from the greatest lawmen, or not greatest villains of the Western era and stuff like that. And it
I'm
uses
very
it to a
disappointed that
very
Jesse James wasn't on a motorcycle though. So very unreal.
Well, maybe in the sequel they'll do it.
yeah.
I needed to see
Man,
him
that
on
was the
a
2000s.
motorcycle with Sandra Bullock on the back.
Probably, yeah.
A chopper. I'm sorry, not a motorcycle, a chopper.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, jeez.
Get to the chopper.
Get your shit straight.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You should be.
This podcast is over because we can't get our ship straight.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Dude, that's me all the
Yeah.
time. Have I ever had anything straight?
I don't know. You lived
I don't
in a
know, you tell
cornfield
me.
for a week, so
Oh, Jesus. I was in the cornfield for like 3 or 2.5 weeks, so
no, I'm sorry.
and I'm still just as weird, corny, and
Uh,
stocky,
yes,
and silky, and kernely. And...
full of butter.
Okay, Trev.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Put it away. I'm happy for those that can, but that
Hold
was not
on
why
while
I
I
was
whip
off.
this out.
I mean, I
I
don't
was
know.
fucking off, man.
I'm just
so,
waiting for the comment where somebody like legit is
accuse
like,
us of being like,
I'm so proud of this show and Triv's bravery.
Well, someone's
Something
going to
along
be
those
awfully
lines.
disappointed because Triv before and Triv after are not terribly different.
that takes about a season for the difference to happen
Oh, jeez.
when you've grown. And when
What
Luke
will have
Skywalker comes
grown,
with his
Nick?
power
Tell me.
converters.
Tell me what will have grown.
When Luke and the droids come for the harvest.
Mhm. Sure.
Anyways,
Anyway.
so basically he's gonna be haunted by the gunslingers of the West for the rest of his life until he quits and ends up being dead in the hell, and because he turned into a gangster because he can't handle it anymore. But I mean that's the episode. Like any like do you guys anything else you wanted to talk about in the episode? Any comments, concerns,
Donations,
corny jokes,
dirty limericks. I mean, I for the sex con, I think you got to add "take the shine off your pants."
Well, it's been a while since I opened the Sexicon. Let's open her up here.
And what was
Did we
the
have one
one
last week?
I don't remember.
Did we?
I don't know. I don't remember yesterday. So
What was the thing in the
There was
open?
a lot of good stuff in the hunt, but the last thing I have is Bandy Legs Buzzard.
Hang on, let me look back at my notes here.
What was it? Shining
Take the shine off
all
your
over your
pants.
pants? Oh,
yeah.
a $3,000 a week funny baloney.
It's in there. Can you feel it?
Can
You feel that shine in your
dig it?
pants?
Okay, so we've got Up Yonder a piece. Old Woman gives us Hail Columbia, which is quite a harsh like yelling and stuff, like
Of course, Marshmallow.
Is this last week's or this week?
I'm just talking about the hunt. I went back and checked my notes.
I mean, I can tell you this right now. Brother Simpson was not a marshmallow.
No, he wasn't. He was kind of the opposite of that.
Hard
Jesse
as
James
fuck.
would have been proud of him.
Yeah, we've been slacking on season 3.
I know. Well, I don't think there's
I
been
just
as
think-
many like Sexicon phrases though, too.
I just been
Well, I think
slacking.
also,
We got
like
5 of
Nan
them.
Adams hasn't shown up, so it might throw us off for
Well, I think at this point,
Thing.
Nan Adams is the car in this. I mean, who else would, she would want to be owned by a guy called Nudie Cohen.
She's his Uber driver.
Yeah, there you go.
she's the Uber driver.
Pea green shave tail, bandy leg buzzard. Take your shine off your pants. Take the shine off your pants. Up Yonder a piece and Marshmallow.
Nice.
You could also say
We're getting there.
that there's one other one from the hunt that's the old lady will give us Hail Columbia, which is like a really severe like yelling and stuff.
Burn. Oh, Hail Columbia.
It's also a song, but in this context it's like a harsh
Like-
thrashing.
Hail, like
Columbia,
or
hail the chief,
like
so
okay.
HAIL.
I'm glad you went with chief instead of something else. Hail.
Was there mechanical creatures in Colombia? Was there a prophet?
I don't think so.
Was it up in the air?
I mean, I don't think so.
Was it the third in a game series?
No. There was a pony, but we don't talk about him.
A pony?
Pony.
Yes.
What? I'm
A
lost.
pony.
What is happening here?
She's just listing off random shit, so I'm listing off random shit.
No, I'm not. I figured Jacob
Really?
would get my joke. But apparently he doesn't.
I feel like I missed part of it.
I said up in the air, mechanical creatures, a prophet, third game in a series.
Or is this
BioShock Infinite?
Yeah.
Columbia?
Yeah.
You guys are such nerds, you know that?
Actually,
I know what you're talking about. You remember the time when Jesse James showed up in the Twilight Zone?
Oh, for
Can you please tell us about that, Rod?
sake.
Anyways, you guys have anything else you want to say on this episode? Anything you want to bring up? No. Now we've completely lost thought and provocation for this is like the most off the rails episode we've done in a while. So
are you kidding? This is like every episode is the most off the rails that we've had in a while.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure we're talking about like things like this episode is gonna be like the most difficult episode I've ever edited because I'm just gonna leave it all in. I'm leaving it in. Fuck it.
We'll do it live.
Fuck it. We'll do it live.
Exactly.
So I look for the rankings list for this episode.
Yeah, rankings list.
No, but in all honesty, do you guys have anything else you want to talk about with this episode?
I'm not touching anybody's pants to take the shine off of them. You can do that yourself.
I thought it was pretty good.
I agree.
I mean, it was not, like I said in the beginning, at the top. It was not like top 10, top tier Twilight Zone, but it was it was an enjoyable time. It was an enjoyable little episode. I remember thinking that as soon as I got done watching it, I was like, yeah, that was nice. It was enjoyable. I enjoyed my time with that.
It's kind of it's not in the same way a palate cleanser as The Hunt, but it is still kind of a palate cleanser.
Yeah, I mean, it's an episode where I don't think you'll be offended by watching it. I think you'll have fun watching it. You might not learn anything from watching it outside just don't piss off Jesse James and his cohorts of the afterlife. But and don't break glasses, don't break mirrors, or learn how to break a bottle. And roll a
more so
cigarette.
don't learn how to break a bottle properly. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a gullet full of glass, and nobody wants that.
Yeah,
a gullet full of glass.
A gullet full of glass. Also, I do think that the one lesson that you could take away from this is if you are in the 60s or the early 60s, starring in a Western involving a guy named Rance Mcgrew, definitely don't talk badly about any particular guys of the Old West. Otherwise, you will end up in places you really don't want to be.
Don't speak ill of any of those rough and woolly, nail-eating, what do you say, phony balonies?
No, that's what they called,
Yeah,
Rance Mcgrew. Yeah, he's the $3K a week phony baloney. Which I bet you there was some little old lady who was like, "Oh my god, the language!
Phony and baloney in the same sentence.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Like OMG,
Mr. Serling, you said phony baloney in the same sentence.
Letter writing
What were you
campaign
insinuating? God.
I'm telling you, his junk is fake.
He's got more junk in the trunk than the average Liza.
Yep, he's Italian, is what I'm saying. His baloney is fake.
Did he get sit on a golf cart and almost collapse the golf cart? Is that what happened?
I don't think. I mean, he's not that heavy.
Wow, you
don't know, true.
Just been waiting for the right moment.
Appropriate.
Exactly. All right, Jacob, hit us up with the closing narration.
Oh, yes, of course. And I was already on it. I'm not scrolling down to it. Okay.
That's what she said.
The evolution of the so-called adult Western and the metamorphosis of one Rance Mcgrew, formerly phony baloney, now upright citizen, with the preoccupation with all things involving tradition, truth, and cowpoke predecessors. It's the way the cookie crumbles and the six-gun shoots in the Twilight Zone.
Oh, I do have one other thing. Did you guys watch all the way to the end? Like all the way to the end?
When he talked about next week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the big announcement at the very end there?
I did.
So he just talked about next week, the kick the can.
Okay, so after that, after he got done with that, he continues on, at least on my copy. he talks about, like, he no longer talks about Oasis cigarettes and the smooth or the softest flavor. He now has, I think it's Chesterton's or Chesterfield's, whatever that cigarette is, and it's got 21 different tobaccos for 20 different smooth flavors or something like that.
Really?
So our boy
I
has
turned it off right
updated.
after.
Our boy has updated his taste in cigarettes.
I turned it off.
Apparently
right
the
after that
show
part.
started making money so he could afford actual cigarettes now.
Was it after the credits?
No, it's part of that, like next
yeah,
week's
he
thing.
didn't
It's
do
at the
that.
very end of that.
I was watching it on Paramount Plus.
Okay, this
He
is
just
on the
says
DVD.
that. He says, "Kick the can, co-stars, Mister." Yeah, and then it just fades to black and goes nee 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 nee.
Now he does the whole spiel for whatever Chesterfields or Chester. I think it's Chesterfields.
He's like, I need more cigarettes.
Chester.
If there's more cigarettes. It's like, well, I want more wacky tobacco. The Chesterfields. Yeah. So, Jacob's like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, so there you go. That is season 3, episode 20. Showdown with Rance Mcgrew. Good
Yippee-ki-yay.
times.
Yep.
Exactly. So with that said, the chat for that I put the rankings list for you guys is going to be 3 pages long here soon, because apparently it only goes up to 44 names or whatever. So yeah, good times had by none.
Woo!
But yeah, the Twilight Zone ranking list, the greatest ranking list ever, because we said so. We deem it. If not, Jesse James and Rod Serling will come down and kick your ass, and then make
Hooray.
you re-rank the list, because Jacob wanted it to. As long as we got
Oh,
one
yeah. As long
one
as,
episode out of there.
Yep. There's just one that needs to be re-ranked. Everything else is solid.
Oh,
See, I
man.
don't believe that. Like, every time we go into the list, you guys are like, well, and I am too. Oh, well, why is that so low? That should really be higher. Oh, why is that so high? It needs to be lower. So don't give me that.
Part of me,
we don't think from week to week.
Part of me wants to say, like, at the end we should go through and tweak it, but I think that kind of like defeats the purpose of ranking them week to week.
Oh, agreed.
Probably not. But except for,
when we go back and re-rank the re-ranks,
Dream, that one should be re-ranked. I say that because I wasn't there for that one, so I feel as if it would have worked out differently had I been there.
Well, in 60 years, Jacob, we'll go back and redo it all. And
I think that our viewers are going to demand that we redo that one as much as we talk about it. I'm pretty sure we have said the title "Perchance to Dream" more than any other Twilight Zone title ever.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that point.
Demand it. So
all 5 of our non-bot viewers.
But 4 out of 5 was demanded.
4 out of 5.
And 3 of those are Jacob's alt.
I only have 2.
Yeah, I was wondering who was asking me to.
Yeah, you and 2 others.
My perchance
3 out of 5.
One's like, give me my perchance. The other one's give me my dream. The other one's give me my 2 in order. Put them in order, and then rank them down the list. The 4th person was like, I don't give a shit. It's too short.
What I would find funny is if we all this shit talk that I've done and that we've talked about this episode, Perchance to Dream. If you guys ever were like, yeah, let's do it. Let's re-rank it. Let's redo the episode, because I wasn't there.
That'll be number 1.
And we did it. It is episode number 1. Or even weirder, if I watch it and I'm like, I really appreciate this episode now. It's a great one.
Here,
that wouldn't happen.
At the end of all things.
No, I'm actually curious if we went back and watched, like, some of these episodes, like the first few episodes, if we would put them higher or lower, or,
Well, and it's so hard. It's so hard with that, because, like, I feel like, when we pick a space to put that episode, it seems right within that group, but then you rank it against the entire list. And it's like, well, why is that higher? Why is that lower? When you have that many, I don't know if you can do that and give it justice as to where it really should be in the grand scheme of ranking.
Yeah. It's like this episode.
Like where is
Rance
everybody?
McGrew, like, yeah, where's everybody's always like
where would you
the
put
bottom.
that? Yeah, but where would you put that? Like, it's a very first episode out the gate. We've seen where Twilight Zone has gone in order, in a critical sense. How would you even begin to say where it should go?
You can't, because that's why it's subjective, Triv.
Oh, 100%.
Subjective.
I don't know, but I could tell you where Perchance the Dream would go.
Up your ass.
Oh,
I mean,
up your ass. You're the one who put it there.
You know what? Piss off. Screw you.
Triv's perchance is to put it up everyone's ass.
Oh,
It's her dream.
Yeah.
It's my Perchance the Dream.
So, anyways, with that said, Showdown with Rance Mcgrew. Where's
Number
the most
4.
unusual camera? Number 31 is most unusual camera. I don't know if I'm putting that high. Maybe above Prime Mover.
I don't know. Triv, did you're the connoisseur of the goof and with our episodes here. Did you I know you love Most Unusual Camera, and I really like it too. And I kind of lumped this one in that type of category in that area.
Yeah.
Not necessarily on the ranking, but just in that type of episode.
Right.
Do you think
totally.
Did you like this one more or less than Most Unusual Camera?
Most Unusual Camera is such a unique, and not to say this one obviously has points of uniqueness too, but I think Most Unusual Camera is so, as the title says, very unusual. I don't think it hits quite that level. I did get a lot of vibes of like a nice place, like, or not in a nice place, is it? What's the one where like you guys mentioned it, where the actor goes into the other world? It's
A World of His Own.
Difference.
A World of
Difference.
World of Difference.
Was it A World of Difference? I could see putting it around there.
And that one was less comedic, I think. It was just kind of a out there in that same, it has connections to this one.
I mean, I think it could go between like 30. I would say between 31 and 36, honestly, because I don't think it was better than Most Unusual Camera.
I don't either.
Yeah, I think The Hunt was better than this episode, but I think this episode it just has charm to it that
See, and for me, like I would watch this and The Hunt over Quality of Mercy again, just based on the kind of episode that it is. Not to downput Quality of Mercy, but
Quality of Mercy's in that same genre, not the comedy part, but the whole somebody's in one place and then flips to another place kind of situation.
And that's a lot of Twilight Zone stuff generally, though, too, is to kind of, walk a mile in my shoes, only not Dead Man's shoes, because that was kind of lame.
I liked it more than Odyssey of Flight 33. A Nice Place to Visit. Which one was that?
A Nice Place to Visit was That's
the other one with Larry Blyden. That's the one where he as a gangster, he ends up
in a casino. Yeah. That one had a little bit of goof to it.
Very much. More so ironic goof than anything, but
actually I think that World of Difference. Yeah, I'm with Triv. I'm around in that area. That 37. I think
Well, here's the real question. Is this episode better than Long Distance Calling 2?
Oh, not even a question. For me, at least.
Was it better than Quality of Mercy? So we're basically saying it's like in that area, like Hunt, Quality of Mercy.
I would say making this one 33, 34, or 35.
I don't think it's better than The Hunt and Quality of Mercy, but I could go with 34. I think I could see it being better than 2 and Long Distance Call. I hated that episode. I hate it. A terrible execution. I say that frequently, but
he just keeps wanting that kid to watch the kid drown. That's what it is.
I think taking Long Distance Call out of the equation. Yeah, I could see it in that area right there, that 34 to 36. I'm really cool with whatever in there.
Yeah, I'm good with 34, right below Quality of Mercy, or in between Quality of Mercy and 2.
Quality of Mercy. I'm good with whatever.
I think this one was better more engaging than 2.
Yeah.
I like 2, but 2 was very subdued and low key. And I think this one was a little bit more engaging. So yeah, I would go with 34.
True. I feel like Rance Mcgrew is like, it should be like a character in like an animated series. Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, you could put it above Quality of Mercy, you could put it below Quality of Mercy. It's definitely better than 2. It's definitely better than Long Distance Call. World Difference. Yeah, I mean we went a little bit higher. That's
doesn't
fine,
have any shirtless Charles Bronsons in it, but
yeah, and we all know how much.
Well, that automatically makes
it
go to like number 85. So,
although I was looking up, and again, I know we don't. It's one of those things where you don't want to become reliant on other lists, but I know with Pace Magazine they put it at 96 out of 150, so it's like literally like in the dead middle of everything. Well, not in the dead middle, but like lower.
I mean, this episode will be higher than the dead middle, I'm assuming.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, unless
we
a
only
bunch of
have,
stuff
like,
comes along and jumps sub 30 or sub 30.
Yeah.
It might get pushed out to there. I don't think that's going to be season 4 from what I hear.
Well, and I think there's some good stuff in season 4. It's just it gets a bad rap because there are episodes and there are some real stinkers.
Like I said, the 30
like
Fathoms Grave is
or
a
whatever
pretty good
it's called.
episode. So okay, yeah, I think that'll work. I think I'm not going to complain for now until next week. I complain about the whole list again. Okay, so with that
what are we doing? 34?
34.
Yeah, 34. So new number 30.
34 bitches.
Whoa.
Let me disappear.
No.
So new number 34, new number 34, Showdown with Rance Mcgrew. Number 1, still Eye of the Beholder. Number 85, Trouble with Templeton. Next episode, we'll see where it ranks. It's probably a top 20 episode. Of course, is the very heartfelt Kick the Can episode, season 3, episode 21. You might remember this from the Twilight.
Does that mean, since we're reviewing this one, that this year for, what was it, Christmas last year? That holiday season, we're going to do the Kick the Can from the movie?
I mean, if we want to get it out of the way, we'd be more than happy to.
I remember that one.
Anything to get rid of that episode of the movie. But yeah. So the Kick the Can, you might remember from the Spielberg adaptation from the movie with Scatman Crothers.
That's it. Scatman and Crothers rocked the house, but everything else was kind of a giant oof.
Scatman. It was when I was a kid, I thought it was like, what is this, Cocoon?
It is kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, Cocoon was produced by Spielberg, so I mean, there you go.
Ron Howard directed. Did Ron Howard direct that? I could be wrong there.
Yeah, I think Don Amici won an Oscar for that movie.
He did.
Somebody did. I remember that.
So yes, the next episode is Kick the Can, season 3, episode 21, directed by Lamont Johnson, written by George Clayton Johnson. A lot of Johnsons in this episode. Right. Stars Ernest Truex, Russell Collins, John Marley, and Burt Mustin.
Did you say Butt Mustin?
Butt Mustin Johnson.
Yeah, Butt Mustin. I mean, it was the 60s, so you don't know.
True.
Bustin' butt.
Bustin' butt. Anyways, so we'll look forward to that episode. Should be a lot of fun. But with that said, we're heading out. We're ending this Mcgrew episode. It's not like I edited it just a few minutes ago, like 45 minutes conversation and stuff. But Triv, Jacob, as always, fun times. Jacob, yeah, I think you're ready to talk your channel because you have a new video that posted as this for you that I can't talk.
As of this recording,
thank you.
Butt Mustin.
Butt Mustin's got me joking.
Too much Butt Mustin going on.
It's late, people. No, you have content. You just posted a new video. Where's that at?
It's over on the Retro JakeXY YouTube channel. Check out my new series about the 5-part series about the Nintendo 64. New part releases every Friday at 12 noon Central Time, whatever time that is where you reside. And at the end, the big long video will come out. And yeah, and then after that, go check that out. I just released, as of the release of this video a few days ago, right? Yeah. The second part, and this coming Friday, if you're watching this on the day this releases, the third part about the what is the third part? The reception of the Nintendo 64, third part of the series. So check that out if you would, and yeah, that's it. More coming soon.
Hooray!
Excellent. Now,
and they're excellent videos, so make sure to give some love.
Thank you.
Yes, they are. Now, Triv, I know you're still growing out in the cornfield. You came in for just a few minutes to talk to us on this episode. But when you're not in the cornfield growing, where's your content at?
It's in my theater.
So like Troll?
No,
is the theater becoming like Troll?
No, hopefully not. That would be very weird if it was. I spent far too much time building it for it to happen this early on. No, you can find me here on YouTube at Trivial Theater. The last thing I did was a collab with this crazy guy next to me. We did Meet the Feebles. It was a fantastically fun time. Definitely show it some love. Especially the cockroach porn scene, which was kind of a shocker. Anyway, hopefully in the next week or so, I'll have another video dropping. It's on a classic piece called Blood Theater, done by the guy that did Hobgoblins. So if you know the MST story of that, then you'll know this movie. But anyway, that tells you about the quality that you're about to see.
Yes. Watch these two's videos. Watch these Utes as they discover things about their sons.
Well, and watch this guy too. If you're on this channel, definitely sub and check out his stuff because he's got a lot of great stuff.
Like and subscribe button.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the bell notification
to
be made aware of when we drop or he drops new content.
Yes.
Exactly. And some of that content you may like, most of it you'll probably yell at me about.
Josh.
But also this podcast is on audio feeds like Anchor, SoundCloud, Audio Boom, all that good stuff. Please rate, subscribe, definitely check it out. It's I think we sound better on podcast than we do in the video for some reason. I think that's the compression. I don't know, but it's weird how that plays out. But anyways, with that said, we're going to head out back into the Twilight Zone. We're gonna find Jesse James and write new content as we see fit. But for myself, Jacob, and Triv, we'll see you guys next time in the Twilight Zone. Peace out, motherfucker. Yeah. So anyways, it's season 3 episode. No.
I mean,
yeah, he went on to like be friends with the robot and be the head of the police force, and
he's already, I
don't know what he does.
He was already in police academy. Yeah.
Oh, was he?
It's 82.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, so he was already he was a policeman. He was already, working with robots. Now he's working with old people.
Robots, old people, same basic idea.
Gutenberg.
Where's
You're waiting to hit that fucking thing.
I'm getting sick.
Oh, like every time it's just like the record button just moves. It's like it moves to more. Why is it in the more section?